Gridiron Warrior podcast is built for strength and football coaches who want to run the best possible programs for their athletes and their communities. Each episode delivers simple, practical coaching advice that transfers straight from the weight room to the field. No theory, no fluff, no fancy words, just real world strategies from coaches that are living it. So you can build stronger, faster, more durable athletes at any level. From the beginning, I've committed to only bringing on sponsors that I myself use and would confidently recommend to any coach. And that's why I'm fired up to partner with Train Heroic. Train Heroic is the platform I use to write programs, run my own training, and deliver workouts to athletes and whole teams. It's clean, it's coach friendly, and your athletes are actually going to go in the app and use it and enjoy it, compared to some of the other ones that are out there. If you're a strength coach looking for a better way to program and get that information to your athletes, or if you're a coach and you just want, plug and play, ready to go training programs that you don't have to build, Train Heroic is it, okay? And here's the kicker for anyone that is a supporter of the Gridiron Warrior. Start a free 90-day trial of Train Heroic using the link, trainheroic.com/Gridiron Warrior, and I'll drop 2 12-week training programs right into your account so that you don't have to start from scratch. You can start with 2 12-week programs built in there, tweak them, change them, customize them, and get a good feel of using the app. And those will be in there for you, so you can use those. So head to www.trainheroic.com/Gridiron Warrior, start your 90-day free trial, and reply to your welcome email saying that you want those 2 12-week training programs from me, and I'll make sure you get those. If you're a high school coach trying to bring structure and feedback to your jump and speed training, you need to check out the Plyomat. The switch mat technology is precise, durable, and it's far more reliable than those laser-based systems. More importantly, the feedback is instant. Your jump height, your contact time, RSI, it's all shown on the remote, the controller, and it's logged in their app as well. You can use it every single day as a checkpoint. Are your athletes hitting plyo numbers or thresholds? We use it in season to gauge readiness. You can check their ground reaction force and see if their springs are there as well. It's something that you'll bring out and use every single day in the weight room. If you follow Rich Burnett, the founder, you already know that the education piece is big too. He's a high school guy at heart, and so is the company. So, Plyomat is there to provide everything that we talk about in Gridiron Warrior, actionable results, real service, great customer service, and they're trying to bring jump training to the next level. So happy to support them. Check out the Plyomat. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Gridiron Warrior podcast. Today, bringing in another good friend of mine, Mike Serricchio. Tell us your story. Tell us where you're from. Tell us the background. Tell us about Connecticut football. What do we need to know?
All right. Born and raised in Stamford, Connecticut. Went to a small private school in town called the King School. It was a day school, though, not like a prep school that a lot of people are probably used to today. From there, went to Springfield College, where I had the pleasure of meeting Coach Leach, where we played together on the offensive line.
We played together. I had a chance to coach you when I was a GA.
Yep, right.
I had that chance as well. Many battles on the offensive line.
Yeah, a true deep lore between us two. After that, went back home, was trying to find my way, was a personal trainer for a few months. Then I got a PE internship at the old school that I graduated from at King, which is awesome. Knew I wanted to kind of do that and coach because I was coaching everything back then. 3 varsity sports, 3 middle school sports, you name it. So I knew I had to get my PE degree because I graduated with exercise science from Springfield. So I went back to Springfield. All roads lead back to the Mecca, as we know, and got my PE degree while I was being a GA for Coach Serricchio, which was the time of my life. Made me who I am today as a coach, for sure. And then was lucky enough to get the head coach job at Ledyard immediately after. Graduated from grad school in spring of 20. So that was like a true COVID era. I did my senior thesis or grad thesis online in my then fiance's living room. So that was interesting. Got that all wrapped up. Had a connection on the Springfield staff with our boy Bobby Bosm, who I was a GA with. He's a Ledyard alum. He let me know that the job was open. Didn't expect to get it, honestly, because I was 27 at the time and I had no head coach experience. So I figured it was kind of a long shot, but the Ledyard AD, Jim Bunicor, is a Springfield guy, undergrad and grad. So that was obviously a helpful connection. He took a swing on me and I got the job, and I've been there ever since. And it's really been a dream come true, honestly. I never realized how badly I wanted to be a high school football coach until, after sophomore year at Springfield, it's like, 2 years, like this thing's over and like there's no more football. And that didn't sit well with me at all. So I knew like the only path, because I wasn't going to the league, obviously, with our boy Nasowitz. So I knew that I had to coach, and it's worked out really nice, man. It's been everything I could have hoped for. It is my life's work, I think. I know, actually, I should say.
Normally we save this question, but now is a good time to ask it. What is it specifically? I mean, obviously, you're not Nick Saban making millions at the high school level.
No, I'm not. No.
But what is it about football that you love, and why do you wake up, you coach, you're putting in a lot of hours, you're going above and beyond. So what is it that you love specifically about football?
Yeah, I heard you ask Coach Gill this question, and it's such a long form, complicated answer, man. It's like, football has been like my identity forever. I try to coach our kids at Ledyard that football is not your identity, because I don't necessarily think it's a healthy thing. Unless you make it your life's work, which I've done, and I've made it a healthy thing. But it's just at the high school level, like you see a kid his freshman year, he sticks with it, and then you fast forward 4 years worth of work and you see what he turns into as a senior. The maturity, the growth, like just seeing kids develop, I think is unbelievable. And I think that football is the greatest teacher of life, to not be corny about it. But this day and age, the thing I come back to a lot, especially recently, has been the delayed gratification aspect, like teaching kids that, it takes time. Like there's no shortcuts to getting big, fast, and strong. There's no shortcuts to getting good at football. Like you have to just put in the work over and over and over and over and over again. And then, the schematics I love. I'm obsessed with the chess game of it. I think that's super fascinating. It's like the greatest board game ever made, but with people trying to inflict their will on each other. It's a beautiful thing. And, Friday night in a small town, there's just nothing like it, man. There's nothing like it. And, the butterflies before the anthem never go away. The self-doubt, do we get the kids ready? It's just, it's such a large, grandiose thing that appears to be such a small, insignificant thing from a casual's perspective, but it's all encompassing. It gets you out of bed in the morning. Sometimes it keeps you up at night, but I think it's a really noble pursuit. And I think that at the end of the day, I think we're all trying to make the world a better place in our own way. So if you coach 50 kids a year for hopefully, 40 years, you can go to that guy's funeral and say, man, that guy had an impact on the world as we know it. I unfortunately went to a coach's funeral this past spring. That Jim Bunicor Sr. passed away. And like the line, it took me forever to get in. Like that's how a good coach's funeral usually goes. And that speaks to, the impact that a good coach makes. And I think that this day and age, good coaches are more important than ever. So all that to say, that's why I do it. And it's who I am, for better or for worse.
I think a lot of the listeners will resonate and get a little goosebumps. I mean, it's hard to tell on the video. I'm fired up too, man. The butterflies is still there. And that's why I'm still here doing it. I love the delayed gratification piece too, because, I see it more in today's day and age with the transfer portal. And,
yes.
People are looking for the quick answer. How do I get my playing time? How do I get my opportunity? How do I get my job? And the truth is, just like the weight room, you got to put in the work. If you want to be a better football player, you can't just go to a new place and hope it gets better. You got to put in that work.
Mm-hmm.
It's the last frontier. It's the last place where young men can come together and learn how to come together and be a team. Because if you don't go on and play college sports, you go into the real world, your workplace is not that. Your workplace is not maybe you'll find it. Maybe you'll find your thing, whatever it is outside
Don't count on it though.
Yeah, don't count on it. So enjoy this chance to come together and be a team, and the memories. Obviously, the memories is a big piece of it too. Like we could ramble for days about our Springfield stories, but like those are things I carry with me the rest of my life. I'm going to pass those down, share those stories with my kids and things like that, and hope they create their own someday.
I can't hear Pop That by Fresh Montana without being transported into the locker room.
Oh.
That it's amazing.
For the Springfield, this is a deep cut for the Springfield people that know. Like, I don't go out of my way to plan it, but if I ever do hear "Take Me Home Tonight" on the radio or on this,
Dude, it's like the Winter Soldier when they're telling him like that weird series of words that like snaps him back into like whatever he's like. As soon as I hear it, it's like
we've had some Springfield interns and stuff like that have worked for us, and it's hard being the only Springfield guy on staff. But I'll look over at my Springfield interns when I have them, and they look at me and they're like, "Yeah, it's on right."
And I love that that's spanned multiple generations. Like that's like it's like an old established thing. Fun.
It was really good when I had Coach Fleming on staff.
Oh yeah, boy.
Now he's upstate New York doing a great job opening his own gym.
Yes,
all right.
The best.
You mentioned that you're a small school.
Yeah,
you're a small community. Let's talk about that a little bit. How you're making football a thing in a small school, and we'll get into Gridiron Warrior because, for backstory, you have bugged me for a long time about questions about training, how to do, and in a good way. I'm busting your chops, but in a good way because you care about the kids. You want to put the best program together. Obviously, you want to win games and things like that, but you also know that there's probably a better way to train out there. But you've got a lot of hats you've got to juggle as well, and you don't always have time to necessarily see what the latest thing is or see what, compared to somebody like me, where this is my field. Maybe the football stuff I don't know as much about, but the strength stuff I have a pretty good at. So we've always gone back and forth. How do we make the program better? What can I do with the kids? Should I do this? How's my program look? Things like that. And, I think a lot of the Gridiron Warrior stuff has made a difference, especially at a small school like yours. So talk about, for the people that don't know Connecticut football, kind of where you're at, level-wise, school-wise, and then just talk about how some of that stuff fits into the small school and how you're getting the kids to come out and play.
Yeah, so it's an interesting tale at Ledyard because the gentleman that started the program, Ledyard's a relatively new school. It was founded in '64, I believe. And the first guy that was the head coach at Ledyard was Bill Mignault, who, long story short, retired as the winningest coach in Connecticut history. 4 state titles, 300 wins, the whole deal. So it was without a doubt a football town. Town cares about it. Kids care about it. All those things. However, before I got to Ledyard, there was a 4-year period. So after Mignault stepped down, our AD now, Mr. Greencourt, took over. He kept it going. They were excellent throughout his entire tenure. And then he stepped down to become the full-time VP AD. And that kind of led to the dark ages of Ledyard football. For 4 years, there were 3 coaches there, and they never won more than 3 games. So it was like 3-7, 2-8, 2-8, 2-8. And then the COVID season happened, where I entered the picture. So when I got to Ledyard, despite the legacy and despite the past success, we're going on year 5 of like the doldrums, so to speak.
You've got kids that haven't seen the winning seasons.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's a lot to be done at that point in time. And so we got right to it. But, it was a slow burn. We won 6 games our first year, which was like, people were going crazy. We won 8 the next year, got back to the playoffs. That was exciting. Lost in the semifinal. I had a tough year the following year because that senior class that we relied on the previous year was very good. So we were kind of trying to figure out our own way. That's when the single wing was born out of the trials and tribulations of 2023. 2024, we went back to the playoffs. We beat our rival for the first time in a long time, lost on a walk-off field goal in the quarterfinal. And then this year we went back to the playoffs again, finally broke the glass ceiling, got that playoff win, which is huge for us. And so at this point now, we're finally back in that, like, okay, I hate saying Ledyard's back because if Ledyard's back, we're winning state chips, But Ledyard is definitely a thing again. And so all of that has to do with a lot of things, but the offseason is I think the biggest piece. And like you said, as an exercise science guy, even if I didn't like pick up anything and learn anything or like coach at all, I'd be able to like hold my own in terms of like just getting a baseline high school program together and getting kids in the right direction. But I think the lone survivor quote of anything worth doing is worth overdoing is 100% correct. And so if I'm going to be the head coach at Ledyard High School, I want every single thing about the program to be the absolute best. And now that I'm wearing all these hats, I can't be the gym rat that I used to be on T Nation and on all these websites, constantly reading articles and I still read some strength books and every now and then, but I have you, right? So like, I have no problem reaching out, outsourcing. I think having mentors is critical. And so, I have single wing mentors, I have strength conditioning mentors, I have defense. So it's all about just taking the best of the best and bringing it and making it ours, making it our version, And so with Gridiron Warrior, all the mental load of me programming got taken out, and I knew that it was elite because you had done it, and it was a no-brainer. And the best part is, we talk about kids coming out to play football. After that screeching halt, those 5 years, like, it was not attractive to play anymore. And like, people say that, kids haven't changed, but they kids have changed. Anybody that's in a building will tell you they kids changed. If they aren't, that I think it's a clickbait thing. I don't know. But the old drill sergeant, militaristic Bear Bryant, I don't think it works these days unless you have been doing it without any pause and like the standards have been set and all these things. So with Gridiron Warrior, it's not like, all right, we're gonna run shuttles until we puke and then bear crawl everywhere, and then we're gonna do this program that's gonna make you objectively better, that you will see over time if you stick with it, because the novice effect is real. I tell my kids all the time, even if you weren't doing anything great, like if your programming stunk but you were consistent, you're still gonna see gains. So imagine now you're in this perfect habitat for growth, as you're gonna maximize it because you're a novice. But we have the scores and stops, we have the contact prep, we have the off-season competition. So like, we don't really do any like sucky conditioning until like June. And then it stops in August because we're in the season. So like, there's really only that few months in the summer where kids might be like, oh man, like I don't want to go to workouts today. Because now you're going to workouts, you're getting time with like lasers, we're testing your broad jump, we're doing like small-sided games for your agility, we're going to go lift, and then we go home. So like, doing that, enjoying that, and then the ultimate recruiter is kids seeing their own results. Like, as soon as a kid does a weight that he hasn't done before, I think, bang, he's in. It's just a matter of getting that rock moving. How do we get him to show up enough so he can see that progress? And we've done a good job of that. The off season, like the winter and spring group, like the summers group have always been good. I got to give them credit. Even like,
give us a quick breakdown of what your off season lift schedule looks like, and then what you're getting done in the summer.
Yeah. So in the winter, because it's a 3-phase thing because of my schedule, So in the winter, I don't coach anything. It's just football. So we go Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I was a big Monday, Wednesday, Friday guy my whole life, and then as I went on, I'm like, if we just free up Friday, because like travel, whatever, kids get complacent, whatever. If we could just not work out on Friday, I think we'll be better off. So we go Monday, Wednesday, Thursday now. We do true total body on Monday with like a deadlift RDL emphasis. We do a true upper body day on Wednesday with a bench press or military press emphasis. And then a true lower body day on Thursday with some sort of squat variation emphasis. Mondays are always linear speed. We test your, fly 10, 40, whatever we're doing. It's been tough. The past winters have been good. Like, it's been cold, but we've been able to get out. We've been in under the ice for like a month now. So like, we're in the friggin' music hallway. God bless our kids. Just like,
we don't have an indoor turf or anything either, brother.
Yeah.
So I assure you, man, it's this has been a hard winter.
We're ripping sprints.
Down south people have no idea what's going on right now.
Yeah, it's a small school blues, But I think it's a part of the character.
Hard times full of hard people.
Yep, exactly. And then Wednesday is always COD, agility, some sort of situation like that. And then we sprint again on Thursday. In the spring, I coach baseball, but part of my agreement was I can't not do the weight stuff. So can I just start practice an hour later? Fine, good. And the spring is great because I'm the JV baseball coach. So I get any young football player that's on JV is with me. All the JV players are with me regardless, but like those kids get overlap. So if you're a football player who's playing JV baseball, you're training 5 days a week. If you're a lacrosse kid who's playing football, because their practice also starts at 3:30, you're also training 5 days a week. So the spring is like big time, big groups. Winter, not so much, because we have a lot of kids who wrestle, a lot of kids who play basketball, a lot of kids do indoor track. And And then the summer, we stick with the 5-day thing. But now we have, again, the Gridiron Warrior piece where Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we lift. Again, I would like to avoid the Friday, but in the summer, you just can't. There's not enough time in a week. And then Tuesday, Thursday is those conditioning scores and stop days. But we stick with the, deadlift emphasis Monday, upper body emphasis Wednesday, Friday, because of the days off the weekend. And that's kind of the way we do it. And all the while we do the Iron Kernel Challenge, which is, as similar to what everybody else is doing these days, which I think is great. Great way to build buy-in. Kids get points for attendance. Kids get the point for good grade. Kids get the point if they send me an elite meal. Going back to the Springfield days, if you give me a lean protein, a fruit and a vegetable, and a quality carb, bang, that's a point right there. If I get a teacher compliment in the building, that's a point. All these kind of things, And so you get a t-shirt if you win. Kids love the t-shirts, obviously. Ledyard strength, cool. And so that's kind of a snapshot of what we're doing.
What would you say out of all the different Gridiron Warrior things that we put in over time, what are the things that kids are eating up the most? They're loving it, and you're seeing the big difference too. I mean, obviously, I always think contact prep is the thing that if you've never done it before, you start putting that in, you notice that it's a different maker. But I mean, you've done it all now. So like, what are the things that you're seeing good results from, and the kids are getting fired up to do every time you pull it out?
Yeah. So I don't have data, unfortunately. But I think we've had one shoulder injury in my career, like significant, from a kid that was in the program. Like we had a freshman last year who hurt his shoulder, and he was very diligent, but like, I don't think a 3-month summer is going to bulletproof until. So I think the contact prep, the crawling, the rolling, the competition stuff has had a absolutely tangible impact. Like the upper body injuries are basically nothing. Like for us, injury wise, it's really just like ankles, knees, stuff that is hard to avoid. There, kids don't really pull muscles at all. The cramping has gone down, since I've started putting conditioning back in. Unfortunately, Coach Holler, I'm so sorry to break it to you, because I was all in on Feed the Cats, man. As soon as I got the word of that, it was like, oh, no conditioning ever, blue. We were cramping like crazy in the beginning of the year. I'm like, I don't like. So that's how we got back to conditioning in the summer. Not during the season, but that helped. But the kids really like the scores and stops, like the agility competition stuff. Like when we first started doing it, I explained, you get more from this than you do from a 525, whatever. But they don't, it's like, okay, let's just go. The enjoyment factor, like the energy factor of those drills compared to, all right, go touch this cone, go touch this cone, back. I think it's undeniable. If you just are observing, what movement concepts you're seeing, it's directly transferable to the field. You don't need a football to do it. So it's not like it's breaking any rules or anything. It's just like skills that you're working on. So it's like we're filling the strength conditioning cup, but at the same time, it's also like this is football drill work essentially that we're using as a conditioning tool. So it's like this big bang for your buck thing, and I think that is probably the biggest piece. I also think that it's kind of boring, but the Gridiron Warrior conditioning, man, like there was no questions this year about us being in shape and wearing people down, and like from the gate, like it was we were ready to rumble, and that felt good because
I think it's one of those things. I mean, I love Tony. Tony's been on the podcast before. We've gone back and forth,
Tony.
And I think he's done a lot of really good things. But it's one of those things. I do think that there just needs to be a base level of doing some running and doing some things you don't like to do. That's part of the deal. You got to be okay with doing things you don't always love to do, because you don't always love coming into the building every day. You don't always love waking up early, but the more you can wake up and tell yourself, I do the things I don't love to do, that's part of the deal. And I mean, that was one thing you came to me and you were like, I'm not doing the conditioning anymore, but I'm still seeing cramp. What's going on here? So, and then come to find out I still do conditioning. We updated Gridiron Warrior too, and I think that was a piece, was having a little more conditioning on the back end for you. And it's good to hear that it from the jump has made a difference, because you've gone out, and you guys are a small school. You've gone out and beat some schools that are a lot bigger than you.
Yeah.
And no knock to you, have more talent than you.
Yeah. I mean, like we played a team this year. So we're double S, which is the second smallest classification in Connecticut. We played a school this year that is double L, which is the largest in Connecticut. They are, the 5th largest enrollment. in Connecticut, period. They get off the bus and you're like, whoa, like this looks like a legitimate football team that you'd see on TV. Like these linemen are humongous. These skill guys can run. They got dudes, all the positions with speed. And so it's like, man, like Ledyard's in for it tonight. But when you peel the onion back, we do things to mitigate that situation. Like until we get to a point, which I don't know with our enrollment if it'll ever be this way, where we are that team. You have to do things, be better or be different, right? And when you combine the two, that's when you have a special team. But we know we're not going to outsize these dudes. We're pretty fast, but like they have more fast dudes. Like our top fast dudes are probably equal, but they have more of them throughout the roster. So we can't just line up, run inside zone, bubble screen, all that fancy stuff. And we also can't just like train the same way. You can't just, okay, we're like today it's like 3x5 and then we're going to go out and run 1040s and like, no, you got to move the needle somehow. And it's not more. More is not better. And that's what I do love about Tony. I do believe that more is not better at all. Better is better. So your coaches need to find the secrets, the X factors, the levers that can be pulled to get you to be to a point where you can compete with anybody. And again, we want to, as coaches, like, we will play anybody. That's who we are. Put the ball down. I don't care who it is. AD makes a schedule. I'm not complaining about it either way. If anything, I'll complain that I want more better teams. But like, how can I expect to win a state championship if you're not getting tested during the season? You're not pushing your boundaries. You're not like doing a David versus Goliath thing. Like, that's ridiculous. Like when I'm preaching is falling on deaf ears. If I'm like, all right, like we're going to get down for be the best version of ourselves, but we're not going to play these guys. No way. We're going to find out how to do it. And with the Gridiron Warrior stuff and the schematics, that led to a triumphant victory against a really, really big school. I texted you immediately after. I was like, dude, like we after these kids tonight. Like, we run a single wing and like we have misdirection deception, but like it was just like power, sweep, wedge, power, sweep, wedge. Just like we weren't fooling them. We were just getting after them. And that's, at the end of the day, that's who I want to be. I want nobody to be excited to play Ledyard. You see Ledyard on our schedule, like, oops, there's the F-bomb. Like that's the culture that we're trying to cultivate. Like we don't want anyone to want to play us. We want dudes to get us off the schedule. We don't want to play them. Not interested. Don't want to do it. And you do that with the off season. Like I tell the kids all the time, you can't want to be a dog. All these kids want to be dogs. I had a kid a couple years ago that had a wear of dog on his back plate. I didn't say anything, but then he loafed in a game and he got probably the worst ripping I've ever given somebody in a meeting before. But everyone wants to be a dog. So if you're going to be a dog, you can't train like a cat. You can't be a dog and want to play like a dog and train like a cat. It doesn't work. You have to align your actions to your goals and all these things we always talk about. And that's where we're at with that.
And I think
it's fun. It's fun being bigger teams.
I think a huge piece of what you talked about is that you guys aren't afraid to compete against anybody. And part of that is because I know you, and competition is part of your identity. That's what you're going to do. And I think that's a lot of what Gridiron Warrior is. And that's part of my philosophy has shown up in that program is there's going to be ways to compete every single day.
Yeah.
And, yes, could you compete on a 300-yard shuttle? Could you compete on, you could, no doubt. Like there's always that kid that's going to try as hard as he can. And, I love that for him. But, I want people that show up and it doesn't matter what the drill is. Say, coach, I'm going undefeated today. If we're doing a tag drill, I'm tagging everybody today and no one's touching me. And it's like, I think of the other day, I had a competition to finish the day. We did lateral raise with chains, first kid to drop them, just a quick 1 rep. I'd call out 2 kids and I'm like, you guys have been busting your butts this week. It's a Friday. Let's finish it, And then, I'm like, all right, get a break. I'll see you guys on Monday. I walk back in the office. I come back out and there's like new guys challenging each other. New guys like just calling each other. And I'm like, that's what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and we'll go out and we'll play anybody. And I think that's you're creating that environment in the off season. And the other part is the kids need to be there every day. If you're building a place where they're excited, they want to come in the building and they want to get better and they want to compete, and you stack that day after day after day after day. You keep classes of kids together. They grow up together.
Yep.
That's how you build the culture of it. And you're doing it the right way. It's one day at a time, but it's also having the plan of, it's not going to happen overnight, but we're going to build this thing.
I'm telling you what, like I said, I cannot guarantee you anything about wins and losses. I cannot guarantee you anything about the scoreboard, but I guarantee you when we finish the game, they will not want to play us again. Whether they have to or not, we'll see. But I guarantee you, I'm putting 11 dudes on the field in all 3 phases who will make sure that they regret playing Ledyard. And that's kind of how we do things.
I love it.
Of the world.
Quick break. This episode is powered by Endorphin. Endorphin is a performance nutrition company built for high school, college, or professional athletes who take their training seriously. Their patented FinTech bottles right here come preloaded with clean, third-party certified, so NSF, protein. All you have to do is add liquid, add water, add milk, whatever, shake it and go. No blender, no mess, no excuse for not getting your protein in. It's trusted by over 150 college and pro teams because it works in actual training environment, on the road, in the weight room, post-practice. When recovery matters most, Endorphin is there. So if you need a discount, you want team pricing, reach out to me or check out Endorphin online and tell them that you're interested in team pricing. All right. Now back to the show. You hinted at this earlier. Let's get into this topic because this is a good one. Is, nice. My down south, some of my other places don't understand it, but multi-sport is a big thing, especially up here in New England when it gets cold out. You can't be playing football year round. You can't be doing 7-on-7 year round. So obviously you're coaching baseball, so you're okay with multi-sport stuff. But
sure,
I know particularly you got a bunch of kids on the wrestling team. Now I go back and forth with wrestling. I get a lot of flack for it because I say you don't have to join the wrestling team. Everyone don't do contact prep. Join the wrestling team instead. And I was an all-state kid at wrestling in high school. I loved my time there. It was great. Changed my life. I was 275 pounds. I didn't want to be the heavyweight anymore. Dropped down to 215. And my life is completely different because of that moment. But, I'm the first person to say, don't join the wrestling team if it's not fun, if it's not a thing you want to do. Well, but you're filling that gap of if you're not doing a multi-sport, you're in the weight room, you're lifting, you're doing contact prep, you're doing those things. But I think multi-sport's still a good thing, and I don't think enough kids are doing that. So let's get into that a little bit. And you're encouraging the kids, you're telling them to go out and play another sport. Yeah. And how is that helping you out?
Yeah. So every year at Thanksgiving time, I give a speech about sports and training and everything. And I say, if I was king and I was in charge, all of you would wrestle and all of you would play lacrosse. But my adulation for wrestling is not in, you learn leverage and hand placement and maybe, but I like it primarily for the grit factor. There's nothing harder than wrestling practice. There just isn't.
No doubt. I tell people all the time, I could go back and do college football workouts. I go back and do the workouts I did for high school wrestling because it was different. No doubt.
And football is easy compared to it just is. So just grit first and foremost, and that's enough for me. Secondly, we do all these competitions in the off season. It's fun. It's awesome. It's good. There is nothing I can do in my off season training program, try as I may, that replicates you versus the kid from New London on the mat spotlight. You cannot replicate that. And that's my biggest thing with multi-sport, competing year round with high stakes. And again, I'd like to say that the Iron Colonel Challenge is high stakes, but it's not as high stakes as the ECC tournament for wrestling, a sanctioned, organized event, So competing year round, I think, is very important. And again, we try to fill that bucket, but you cannot replicate bottom of the 7th inning, full count, rival school, bases loaded, all these things. Basketball, you can go in every sport. And there's, the competition factor for me is the biggest thing. The second thing, or third thing, I guess we're on now, is being coached by different coaches. I think I do a good job. I feel very strongly about my philosophy and my approach, but I am me. And there's probably blind spots I have, or just things I'm not doing, buckets not being filled, that these other coaches can fill for you. Being coached by other coaches, being in other programs, being in other cultures. for better or for worse. Maybe it's not what you think it was. I think there's value in that too. But I think, again, going back to the mentors thing, very rarely does the mentor find you. Like, you got to go out and find these people, like reach out to them, whatever. Oh, here's a chance to sign up for a sport. I'm going to sign up, because this person could change your life. You don't know. Like, you don't know until you find out. And, or you could despise them. I don't know, but you don't know until you find out. And so those three things, I think, are, and yes, again, I say the lacrosse piece too, because, Matt Rea of strength and conditioning fame, the real strength and conditioning marks will know Matt Rea. I'm pronouncing that name right? Yes. Did this whole big article a few years ago about lacrosse and how the movement patterns are the most similar to football and all these things. And I was like, yeah, sign me up. That sounds great. I believe you because you're Matt Rea and you rule. However, I had a kid who was a junior lineman, good player, not a world beater, plays lacrosse for the first time his junior spring. Is very good, has success. I kid you not, coach, when we came back for summer workouts and we're doing the things that we do, and like, I'm looking at his feet, I'm like, yo, this kid is a totally different player. He's moving totally differently. His feet are so much lighter. He's like floating around. He's and again, I would love to be able to do that for you with my off-season program, but I just don't think it's as intense as that. And as soon as I saw him, I'm like, yo, lacrosse, like go. Especially the lineman, because he was the lineman. So that all of it too. But again, like the grit, the competition, and the exposure to different people that could mentor you, that could change your life, that could have a humongous impact on your development as a young person, I think is a no doubter. And I'm a cautionary tale. I was a 3-sport kid all through middle school. Stopped playing basketball because I'm going to live for football. And then I was the best baseball player in my little league and middle school team. I ended up starting as a freshman on varsity. Couldn't hit. It was like the Monstars came and just took my talent away. And so I ended up being a 1-sport kid. And I look back on that and I kick myself. We didn't have wrestling. We didn't have track. So like the options weren't as vast as we have at Ledyard, but not a day goes by. And I'm like, fellas, like, cause I have kids like, oh, I want to do this year. I'm like, listen, take it from me. Get it a warrior. If you really don't take any joy from it, I'm not going to steer you that way, but like, you only get 4 shots at this, man. Like, high school is special and it is short. Like, I wish I did more stuff in music and drama. Like I think every high school kid should just go all in to everything because it's so unique and like your brain is soaking up everything. And too many high school kids just go, punch the clock, scroll TikTok, zombie my way through the hallways, and they leave and like, oh, now what? So seize the day, do everything, including the sports, because it's all part of the developmental process of you as a human being. I think better human beings make better football players more often than not.
I love the piece you mentioned. I don't think anyone's mentioned this before with multi-sport is the ability to get coached by other coaches.
Yes.
And, I got a talk coming up here in a couple of weeks on mat drills and my thoughts on mat drills and go back and forth. And I'm okay with mat drills. I think mat drills have a time and a place. I think if you do them the right way, they can be awesome and beneficial. And one of the benefits is that you have to go to station and get coached up by a different coach. And more often than not, it's somebody who's not your position coach. Mm-hmm. And you need to handle hard coaching from a multitude of people.
Yes.
Because again, like you said, that you have blind spots. As a coach, you have blind spots. You have your favorites. You have your people that do everything right, and you're not going to bust their chops. But like, they go over to another coach doesn't know anything about them. And it's like, you might get coached hard for once, and it's okay. Yeah. And being coachable is a skill that it takes time. You need to work on it. I think the other piece with multi-sports, like you said, is putting a spotlight on competition. And whatever you're doing, you got to find a way to compete. And, no knock to track and field. I two-sport guy in college for a little bit. I tried to do the track and field.
That's right.
And, I quickly found out that it goes up a level and I wasn't at that level. But, I think you don't feel the spotlight. You don't feel, unless you are a stud at track and field, I don't know if it's not the same as getting on the wrestling.
I would agree.
And the team aspect of things like lacrosse, I think, is so huge. And, especially after a season like wrestling, you get back into a team sport like lacrosse. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the movement stuff is a benefit more than just, hey, show up on the track and run your 100, run your 200, throw the shot put, throw the discus. Like, I love track and field. I had a great time doing that in high school, but it was a very easy spring sport. And, I wish I challenged myself a little bit more. And same thing, I'm kicking myself like, man, I wish I played lacrosse when I was in high school. Who would I be now if I did that? I don't know.
I would agree with you, but there is also an element of you versus you. Like the times are the times, the distances are the distances. Like, if you're not getting better, then what's up? Like, where are you not working hard enough? Are you not sleeping enough? Are you not eating enough? Your technique, like, so I agree that, like, in the scheme of every sport, you are correct. But again, record, rate, publish. Shout out to Tony again. That's track. Like, again, you can come run and fly 10s with us and whatever. But again, like, spotlight, race, like, people are watching, teammates. I still think there's plenty to gain. And then obviously the foot speed that the sprinters gain for a guy who prioritizes speed is invaluable too. So track it fills up plenty of buckets, I think.
All right, let's fly this thing home here. I got a good question for you because we asked the other one earlier. So, obviously you're a single wing guy and you're committed to it now.
Yeah.
So for the football coaches out there, what are the single wing coaches during 7-on-7 camp? What's that look like for 7-on-7? Because I know that grinds your gears a little bit.
We don't do it. And that's we're going to, again, this year, just
kids want it. The skill kids want to go out there and do 7-on-7. They want to have, so
there's value in it from a defensive perspective. And offensive too, but I'm not gonna go on a tangent about 7-on-7, but I will say that a part of the beauty of a single wing or any 3-back offense, wing T, flex bone, double wing, whatever you want to do, is it turns the 7-on-7 culture on its head and says, we're not going to spread you out. We're actually going to back you in to this garage as tight as we can and run into you 55 times in a row and see if you can withstand it. And like, these teams, as good, as talented, as athletic as they might be, that are dropping back in pass protection 50 times, they're catching hitches and running into air, and like it's like a culture shock. It's like, whoa, like water through a fire hose kind of thing. And part of the reason why we beat that bigger school is because, like, they're a spread school, 7-on-7, pass pro, these, all these things, and it's just like, like they just ran a wedge for the 5th time in a row. Like, how do we replicate this during the week? And not to mention the schematics of it, like the unbalanced line with the wing back, and like, you have to declare a stronger week. And at the end of the day, I think the beauty of the 3-back offense is taking the current 7-on-7 culture of high school football and saying, no, we're not doing that. And all of them don't require you to be bigger and stronger. Like, the techniques that 3-back offenses require are plenty good with smaller, quicker, tougher kids who just have a mean streak. That's all you need. You don't need big, giant kids. In fact, you're probably worse off if you have big, giant kids trying to run a 3-back system. So the flipping the script of the 7-on-7 culture, I think, is where a lot of the beauty of the single wing lies. And don't get me wrong, we don't win every game we play. Like, some teams are knuckle up. And some teams can knuckle up and counter you with whatever defensive scheme that they play. But I will say, we're 2.5 years into this because we started it midway through 23. Most of the teams we play just physically cannot withstand the tidal wave. Their kids are you could have the best scheme in the world. You could have like Belichick himself could come clinic you up. This is how you stop it. If your kids don't want to stop it, they don't want to get off and scrape the down block, they don't want to spill the trapper, they don't want to tackle. And again, like, the incomplete pass takes tackling out of football. You just gave them a gift. You will have to tackle us every single play. We're not bailing you out. So your scheme could be great, but if your dudes are not mentally and physically prepared to take this on, the game's won. And that's part of why I'm so enamored with it.
You're bringing me back, man. I'm ready to get back in my 4-point stance and get ready to rock and roll here.
Front side and up, baby.
Oh man, put me in the boards. I'm ready to go right now. So for everyone that's listening, you've got an option right now. You either get on the train or you don't. You got to get on now. Don't jump on when the season starts. Don't jump on when we get ready for playoffs here. Because we're going places. You mentioned the clinic real quick, so let's do this because you're coming to the clinic this summer.
That's right.
Who are you fired up to hear about the most?
I mean, again, I'm a single wing guy, but like if you're a football guy and Dante Scarnecchia is talking at a clinic and you're not excited to listen to Dante, it's like, dude, what are you doing? I've admired him for years. Just the simple fact that he is the way he is and he's built the way he's built, and he's a master of coaching people who are nothing like him, like structurally, physically. That's a master teacher. To get these giant human beings to look at you and be like, oh yeah, like I'm going to listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. You have to have an absolute ironclad mastery of what you're doing, and also be able to be good enough of a salesman to convince these giant freak athlete human beings that, yes, I am the best at what I do. And like, this is why. So I think any football coach, regardless of what your title or position is, can learn from that man for sure. So I'm hyped about that.
The whole summer summit, the whole idea was, man, if I can go out and get some big name coaches that have more experience than I have years, can I bring somebody in like that and just be a fly on the wall? And I'm not giving them a plan. I'm saying, hey, you got whatever you want to talk about for offensive line play. Now, it may be a pass heavy day. We don't know yet. I don't know what he's cooking up, but you'll still get something out of how he interacts with our demo guys and things like that, and how he's coaching things up and the details, because that man's probably got more details up in his head than you have an entire scheme and schematic.
Yes.
So between that, I mean, we got some other studs like Nick Kessel, who's at UConn now. I mean, he led all of college football in block punts 2 years in a row as the special teams coordinator at Merrimack. And I have a lot of pride for games. I'm a chaotic special teams guy. That's my thing. I'm okay with the penalties on special teams because we're sending a message and we're intimidation factor. Mm-hmm. So I want to learn how to block more punts. I'm a strength coach. I want to learn how to block more punts. Simple.
If you block a punt, your odds of winning go up 65%.
Huge. Yeah. And then obviously we're bringing in some studs on the strength side. Coach Carizzi, Coach Jack down at Endicott. They've been killing it at the D3 level for a while now. So
it's going to be a campus event. If you're in New England and you're serious about your football, you got to get up to this thing.
I'm excited to have you back in town, brother. So it's going to be great. Yeah, thank you for coming on the podcast. This was awesome. Again, if you're not watching, hop on board now because the train is rolling, baby.
L train, baby.
Oh yeah. All right. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this podcast, and you want to keep getting better, I encourage you to check out my new community, the Gridiron Warrior Insiders. Got it right here on the phone. The app is clutch. There's so many things in there that I think you'll find valuable. We have the weekly film study where you can go live with me, ask any questions you want. There's no Q&A, no big deal. I always have a topic that we're going to hit on every single week, and we record those too if you can't make it. We have the Wildcat webinar. That's where I call somebody else in to run the offense, and they come in and they bring a presentation about something that they're an expert in and give us some fresh insight, new information. I have unreleased podcasts. There's about 10 or 15 that haven't gone live yet. You can listen to them early before anyone else. We have the equipment room, so discounts, whether it's Train Heroic, Plyomat, OVR, or even my own courses. You have discounts in the equipment room. Okay, the free safety, anything that I want to throw in there, bonus programs for yourself as a coach, you name it, it's in there. And we have over 50 coaches right now that are helping each other. So we post questions and coaches will work together and provide insight and share information because that's what it's all about. Is coaches getting better. So if you want to check that out, the links are in my bio, the links at the end of this podcast. Check it out there, Gridiron Warrior Insiders.